Now, this is a really hard question for me to answer, and one I really don't know. But the question is, who's the biggest star in wrestling? Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold Steve Austin? Now, Hulk Hogan is the reason wrestling went mainstream. He was a multiple time champion. Back in the 80s, he was big. The red and yellow, the real American gimmick. All the kids loved him, all the fans loved him, but they didn't know much about him. See, until later on, people found out Hulk Hogan was a politician. Sometimes he wouldn't wrestle for charities. He was still popular. Some people still love Hulk Hogan to this day. And some people dislike Hulk Hogan. It's like anyone else. Now he's running TNA, the whole immortal thing. Unless he left TNA. He was running the show, whatever. But the whole Orlando screw job thing, whatever. But I like Hulk Hogan as a wrestler. I think he's the reason wrestling went big. He was more popular than any wrestler in his time. Even in WCW, he was popular. Even when he became a heel, people still liked him regardless. Take WrestleMania 18, for example, when they were in Toronto. Maybe it was Toronto, but when he faced The Rock, it wasn't really 50-50 to me. More fans were cheering for Hulk Hogan than The Rock. Then, after WrestleMania, he had a phase turn, and the fans loved him again. Became the undisputed champion a month later after WrestleMania 18. Fans loved him. He was always there for the fans. He always did what he had to do to make them happy. But he is one of the biggest stars in his time as far as the 80s. And he's still a really popular wrestler, and everyone knows who he is. But then that brings us Stone Cold Steve Austin. When the glass shattered, the crowd went crazy. He had probably the biggest pop in wrestling ever. Next to Daniel Bryan's yeses, Stone Cold had a bigger pop in my opinion. He had the Stone Cold Stunner. When he hit the Stone Cold Stunner, the fans went crazy. When Hulk Hogan hit the leg drop, fans went crazy. Stone Cold was a multiple time champion. They had issues making him a heel because the fans still liked him. Some people say Stone Cold Steve Austin is the biggest star. Ric Flair was saying, I'm tired of saying Hulk Hogan is the biggest star. Stone Cold Steve Austin is the biggest star in wrestling. Now, personally, in my opinion, I could say, well, I grew up watching Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was always a huge Stone Cold fan. Even though he retired kind of early due to his neck injuries and personal problems, his last match was WrestleMania 19 against The Rock. I forgot where I think it was. I think they were in Seattle. I'm not really sure. But anyways, Stone Cold had good matches. Kind of like a childhood hero to me because I was born in 1990. So I always grew up watching Stone Cold. But the Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, they both had pops by the crowds, great finishers. But who was the biggest star? In my opinion, in a way, as far as fan base, I'd say Hulk Hogan. But Stone Cold was probably the biggest star. Well, I'd say Stone Cold was the biggest star in the WWE, and Hulk Hogan was the biggest star in WCW, in my opinion. As far as big stars goes, maybe Hulk Hogan was a bigger star than Stone Cold, I would say. But then again, Stone Cold was with the WWE, which is still now in business, so maybe he was the biggest star. Not, I think, because TNA's ratings are bad. Stone Cold doesn't wrestle anymore, and he's still said to be the biggest star in wrestling. But, in my opinion, I think Hulk Hogan is a bigger star than Stone Cold. Just by the fact he's the most well-known wrestler out there. But I guess some people say Stone Cold is bigger. Some people say Hulk Hogan is bigger. But in my opinion, I think Hulk Hogan is. But in your opinion, who do you think is a bigger star? Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold?